ask about the friendship between Cash, JC, and Kato.
Mm. You want me to go pee?
I mean, yeah. The only thing I do want to say is like I'm 1,000% sure clear that I introduced Cash to K. You know, um, Cash was hustling them CDs, and I had met Cash before. You know, and he started coming around. We were playing ball at Hoops the gym, and he'd come and that's how we first got together. You know, and I know JC because he was from the other, from the other neighborhood, and he was one of the guys we messed with's boy, and we were around when he fell out with them, and he came over to be with K. But Jay could tell you a little bit more of that.
Yeah, well, for sure, Cash, 100%. Had a good relationship with him. One of my guys still to this day, but he's we made the introduction for him with him and K and JC, as you guys know or may not know, is that he was one of Valerie's first workers, drivers, and he ended up getting arrested, before she did, in Mexico for one of her loads. Um, and I met him, while I was around K and stuff. So, uh, and then later on, happened to be around him a few times, and that's how we, started that relationship. But those are my guys right now. Shout out to JC Rancho Strong. I mean, uh, he's for sure doing amazing things and with God's work, right? And yeah, but now their personal stories, interactions with everyone, that's their personal stories, right? I'm gonna guess that whatever they said, it was what it was.
Man, mad respect to JC too on his walk, man. I'm I don't want to forget to thank God, man, just for allowing us to be here
Yeah.
today, man. He's pulled us through so much. I mean, he's been our protector from day one, and it was a blessing to be able to, get into the word while I was in prison and kind of stay in it.
I don't know if JC's still doing YouTube, but a lot of people were asking that question, like why he didn't get the blessing. But they made it clear,
Um,
y'all. They still cool
just
with
just
Buddy.
make it clear, like, look, that's my, like, yeah, for sure. Like I said, I think that everyone gets blessed differently, right? And for sure, one day, I'll be able to come on his channel and do some other channels, but I don't think that we ever do something to spite someone else,
Mm.
at all. So just to make that clear.
And
And
guess what?
Jonathan
Nothing in your
Pantoja, thank
story,
you.
nothing in your story says that that's your character. Anyway,
Yeah,
you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
not at all. Jonathan Pantoja, I just want to say thank you for the prayers, man, and for just tuning in
Yeah. Salute
and
to
for those
Jonathan.
$5.
Salute for them $5. Thank you, Jonathan. Appreciate you. Do any of y'all got a Kato story?
Mm. I'm sure, there's a
Or a little
lot of
or a little
people that,
insight into the relationship or whatever you guys
what,
can
there's a lot of
offer.
people probably want to talk about that. I just want to make it clear. You hear all these comments, right? Um, K was like, he was like, that was my boy, man. I knew him since I was 7, 8 years old, and we had a great relationship. Of course, K was K, and I always said that he would make Suge Knight shake in his pants, right? Suge Knight to me was soft compared to K, and everything everyone says about Kato, I think to for sure is kind of understated. But he was my guy, right? And it's just one of those things where uh, people like to change the narrative, right? And those people, his family, they knew what type of relationship we had, and how close we were at, for a long time, um, and it's the streets, right? It's sad, to this day, I still pray for him. No matter what happened, afterwards, it doesn't take away, the relationship we had and who we were and all that. It's sad, but that for sure kind of started dictating how my life was going to be. What was going to take place and the changes I was going to make. So, rest in peace to K, and that's never going to change.
Yeah, I do want to share the story. It's weird because of 50 today, but I remember riding with him, and he was like, "Hey, Twin, look at check this dude out," and he had that song out about robbing.
How to
K was a
rob.
fan. Yeah, K was a fan of that from the beginning. He's like, look what he talk. He talking that shit, you know. And then he's like, man, dude, gonna, he gonna be big one day. I remember that perfectly clear. I remember we were on the 55, heading downtown. You know what I mean? And I just that never left my mind. Him telling me that, about 50.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to share about K being crazy. So K, he didn't care if he had $1 million, $5 million, or he was broke. One thing he never stopped doing was gang banging. He was gonna be a Lion King to the last day, and he could um be in a have all his jewelry on and be in a nice car, and he still wanted to go spray paint someone else's hood. You get me? He just that's who he was, and uh, it's hard, man. Like his character, he's one of a kind for sure.
I'd assume that's why him and Dog were so tight. Because Dog was the
Oh man,
same thing. Dog, I have $1 million, but he still want to go see if he can
oh
still
man,
snatch a car.
yeah, for sure. I think just
You're
same
talking
type
about
of
DMX, yeah.
guys. You get me? They were like big grown kids. They love remote control cars. They just like playing and smoking and just they're just about that. But one thing for sure, I know that Kato, he loved Dog for sure. There's a lot of stories people don't really talk about, but we always would sit back and say, Dog had rap beefs, right? DMX had them rap beefs, and K doesn't know what rap. He can't tell the difference between rap and streets. So there's a lot of stories out there that hopefully will come to life later on about Kato not understanding entertainment life and real street life.
Yo,
K was
like a
street all the
Kato
time.
and DMX exclusive film is that shit is something crazy. Because I tell you what, man, I remember the day that I met Dog. I asked him. I said, Dog, man, why haven't you been to Chicago in so long? And he looked at me teary eyed and he said, because K's gone. He said, when K was there, I had a red carpet rolled out for me and I was
Mm-hmm.
I was safe and everything was
Yeah.
good and it was like that
Yeah.
every time. And I made sure that I tried my best to make sure every time he was out here with me and around
Yeah.
me that that I could try my best to hold that down for him because I wanted him to come back and he did. You know what I'm saying? And I
Yeah.
remember being on the phone. I'm sitting next to him, and he's on the phone talking to somebody, and he's telling them who's out there with us, and he's looking around the room, and he looks at Nonstop, and he goes, Nonstop here. I got to keep a Chicago boy with me, and he put the phone down, and they dapped each other up and gave a hug, and I was like, this is some
Oh
real
yeah.
camaraderie shit here.
I think for sure. I mean, DMX was of course an amazing dude, right? And I think for sure, Kato, there was nothing he wouldn't do for him. And um, he grew. That was his home, right? Chicago was his home. He loved. Like I think it's just a different type of dudes that are from the street that he could relate to.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
one thing's for sure. Later on, you guys are gonna hear a story, but it was DMX who actually saved Ja Rule from Kato. That's for sure, and that's a story I'll share some other day.
And well, we're gonna look forward to that story. All right, Jay just let it be known that in the future we're gonna hear how Dog saved Ja from Kato. And this is, if you recall, Dog did interviews, and he would lose his shit, and he'd be like, "Remember when I kept you alive in Chicago?" I'm pretty sure that's the story right there.
I might as well go ahead and add to this too. I just want to make clear. You hear all these stories, and there's a lot of stuff that being said about Val and stuff like that. It's like, it's to me, it's like it doesn't make any sense that so many men will be commenting about what a woman does with her life or how she moves on, right? When it's called moving on, it's life. No one stays in one place, and for all those people who think that because someone's spouse passes away that they have to stop living is ridiculous. It's crazy to me. Um, and 100%, if Kay would have never passed, I'm sure she would have still been with him to this day. And I'm for sure, you know, even me as her husband, I know that, uh, and, as far as for me, I just want to make it clear. I make decisions based on how I would live my life. And if something happened to me one day, I'd want whoever that person was going to be to make my wife happy or take care of her, whatever the case is, for her to have that choice. And no matter who it was, it could be my brother. I wouldn't, I mean, me, I'd want just someone to be happy, right? And and that's it. So that's how I made, my decision, and as simple as that. I'm not gonna live my life, you know, thinking what's right, what's wrong, uh, when it comes to that.
Right, your life's not run by committee.
Yeah,
It's not up for a
and the
vote.
fact that people actually talk about it, and you have like you even had gang meetings and people talking about that disrespect the gang. Like really, like you worried about a woman, what she's doing? Like that's weird. That always has to go back to hate. And I guess you're gonna continue having those comments. I hear the comments of them saying stuff about the song that she says she'll always love him. Like, yeah, she's always gonna love him. That's facts. You get me? My mom passed. I love her. I will love her forever. That doesn't change. People's life don't stop. Your feelings don't stop just because somebody passes. And I have love for Kim. I always have love for Kim. No matter what. You know.
I'm always getting questions about the myth, the legend, Ashley. Did Ashley get a pass? Did Ashley get rolled up in it all? Did Ashley just disappear? Did she get away? What's up with Ashley?
Man, Ashley is a ghost, man. I wish I could speak to her one more time and just say hello to her. From what I understand, um, she didn't get
She didn't get
caught
caught
up in
up.
this.
Mm.
It's
She was
kind of hard.
literally a ghost.
I don't even know if her real name's Ashley. How about that?
Yeah.
Right. She was that good, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. But she and I became super close, man. I pray to God that she's doing well out there.
So Ashley, if
And
you see this, holler at us.
I just want to add to that. Look at Ashley, like from Detroit. She was like our family, right? She basically held the keys to every one of our houses and warehouses, and we never worried about her.
That's
She was
bananas.
like, one of those persons. So
Yeah, that's crazy. For those in the audience that do not know, you go catch up on the story, of course. But Ashley was their go-to girl when it came to she was like their real estate mogul when it came to catching up stash spots and making sure everything was taken care of. She facilitated that whole situation, and people have been wondering if she's somewhere sitting on a throne full of money in a mansion somewhere that they forgot that they even owned. And
man, I
and
hope
and,
she
and
is.
people
I hope
wonder,
she is. To be honest, like
you know.
when in the big scheme of things, people like her were like, they were like small potatoes.
Right,
Like a lot of those people, like I don't even think it would have been worth it to bring her in. You know what I mean?
right.
But who knows? The feds do whatever they want. So
Right. They want all the way down to the elotero, all the way down to the tamale lady. They want anybody. How did Saul get at y'all so many times? Did he have an inside man in your crew?
man, my first interaction with him, that he was a little jealous, you know, individual. I bumped into him at the mall. I remember he had a bunch of bags in his hand. I didn't know who he was at the time, but he was upset over the girl that was taking care of us not like helping him right away. And I remember asking like, "Who is that?" And I remember they said he was getting money somewhere, and I'm thinking to myself, "Man, how come I never heard of him?" Because I didn't know that his way of getting money was just robbing and stealing, setting people up. Like
Right,
he wasn't out there really hustling.
right.
And so that kind of stood with him. I don't know if that was like a thing that he disliked. And he was good at what he did. He focused on robbing people day and night. And I do believe the second time or third time that he did that stuff to us, he did have some inside help.